is our prop betting app. It is new. It's on Android and iOS. Go to either app store and download it. Snoop, let's hit a banger today. I agree. Props Optimizer is on both of them. Please leave us a review, download it, give us a try, tell us how you like it. The 5 stars helps us way more than you guys even understand. We are a small company and every little bit helps. Now, I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann. We will be going over some props for the day. We will start off with a short review of yesterday. I think we are 5 of 7. Colorado let us down from a 28x play. But hey, it happens. Paul, what's going on? Tim, Mad Max, thank you guys all for joining us. I do appreciate it. So here were our plays yesterday. Perdomo, Carroll, Marte, all over on fantasy points. One thing I want to say about this, because we did have somebody in the comments not know what fantasy points were. If I am playing a fantasy point line, it is because I like the situation as a whole. And that also gives us credits for walks and stolen bases. So I'm more likely to play it with guys that, get the odd stolen base or walk decently. And for guys that don't do that, then, the total bases and all that just makes just as much sense. But for these pick'em sites, they all do offer fantasy points, and that is what it is. I mean, they're the baseball fantasy points. I do like it. And whenever I also put like a 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI line, you can generally play the fantasy point line as well. You can play either one. The 1.5 total bases versus the fantasy points. Most of the time, I would prefer the fantasy points. 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI line versus the fantasy points. I think it's a toss-up. Either of them are totally fine. Next, we had Tovar and Beck. Tovar gave us 0. Jordan Beck gave us 1. He got a hit, just only a single. And Tovar actually hit the ball hard a couple times, just went straight to guys. Kerry Carpenter, good old Kerry Bonds, came through with the fantasy points, and Michael Harris had 5 hits, runs, and RBI. So all in all, the picks were solid. 5 of 7 hit. But the way I played it yesterday, I needed all of them to hit. Today, I have 10 props that we're throwing out there all together. It's really, I think, 7 different plays because I threw some fantasy point ones on the card also, just to try and show you, that we can play it either way. Now, let's go get over to that. Let's get to the plays of the day, see what we got over here. So I am going to go back to Arizona a little bit and stack the games over there. I like Geraldo, Perdomo. I like Ketel, Marte. With our 7 different props, I wouldn't put them all together. I wouldn't put, a 7-leg parlay out there and try and run it that way. I would probably stick to 4 and 5 and mix and match these guys. And Andrew's throwing out Blaze Alexander has been hot. He's been very, very good. And I think you can absolutely play him on this slate. Also, Marte and Perdomo have been super hot as well. Yesterday we played Carroll. I cut him out today just because he hasn't been quite as hot as the other guys. He got us there yesterday, but yes, Blaze is another one. There's a lot of guys in this game that I do like. I also don't mind a couple of the Colorado plays. Like we had Beck and Tovar in it yesterday. I think you can go back to those guys. They just hit so much better at home. So if you want a little revenge, you can do that as well. But let's start breaking down Marte. So I have 0.5 total RBIs, or it's 10.5 fantasy points. I absolutely like both options here. For fantasy points, we're at 18.5, consensus at 12.7. For RBIs, we're at 1.9 and consensus at 0.8. I like both plays. Marte has just been too good not to consider in this spot. And then he's facing Gordon, who frankly is poor. And after Gordon is an awful bullpen. So I like the Arizona spot. We once again have warm weather in Arizona. He has been on absolute fire lately, hitting 430 over the last week. 303 over the last 150, which is great, but then 320 over the last 20 and 356 versus righties. 200 ISO, 444 or 445 WOBA. Starting pitcher's bad, bullpen's bad. Same spot yesterday, pretty much. Very, very similar breakdown. And then you got Perdomo, who has just been on absolute fire as well. 356 over the last 20. And we got a poor starting pitcher, poor bullpen. Doesn't have to, we don't have to really go in depth here. I got hits, runs, and RBI line is high at 2.5, but our projection is 4.9 and consensus is 2.9. You can also go fantasy points there if you want. I think the fantasy points is 10.5 or 11.5 again today. Like that spot quite a lot. Now, let's get into some other plays. Giancarlo Stanton over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. LineStar is at 2.7. Consensus at 2.2. Giancarlo has been hot. He's hit an 80% rate over the last 10 games. He's a top 10% hitter versus righties. And he's been crushing it. 333 over the last 20 games, 8 home runs, 347 ISO, 441 WOBA, home run on 10% of his plate attempts, and he's in a good spot versus Palante, who's given up a 4.8 ERA, decently high ISO. Giancarlo is behind a few very good hitters in New York. He's hitting the ball with a 61% hard contact rate. We got very warm weather in St. Louis. I like the spot for Giancarlo. Let's just stay in the flames and get him over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Next, we got Kyle Manzardo. Hopefully, let's get a Manzardo here. Over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. LineStar projections, 2.2. Consensus is 2. Manzardo, another guy who has just been absolutely crushing it lately. He's hitting 340 over the last month, 350 over the last week, 370 over the last 20 games, and 400 versus right-handed pitchers with 6 home runs, 382 ISO, 524 WOBA. These are similar to those numbers that Nick Kurtz had when Kurtz was on an absolute rampage versus righties. And Waldrop he's a better pitcher than these numbers suggest. It's not as cake of a matchup, but he is still a young pitcher. I think Manzardo can get to him, and that bullpen isn't quite as good as it was. So let's go Manzardo over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Next, I'm going to throw a little stack there with Minnesota and Luke Keachall over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, and then Kody Clemens over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. We'll start with Keachall. 2.2 is our LineStar projection. 2 is the consensus projection. Top 5% hitter versus righties. It is his birthday. We got the whole birthday narrative. Happy birthday, Luke. You are 23 today, and you've been on fire lately, hitting 328 over the last 20, 405 over the last 20 versus the handedness of the pitcher, and a 262 ISO, 489 WOBA. He's just been crushing the ball, and I think this is a decent spot here. And frankly, I want to pick on Charlie Morton. While these numbers look decent, he does give it up. He gives up some hard contact, and I want to take advantage of that in this spot with a hot player, and that's why we're also going with Kody Clemens, who absolutely crushes righties. Also, Morton is very bad versus lefties. So we have that in our favor. And Clemens just hits the ball hard versus righties. 203 ISO versus righties. With Morton giving up that hard contact, I love the spot. Clemens has a 40% hard contact rate over the last 20 and is hitting 500 off Morton. It's only 5 plate attempts, so don't look too much into that, but it's a very good spot. JG Tate likes the Judge and Ohtani bases / home run today for a chalk 2-leg, and Manny Machado in a good spot for a home run. Yeah, I had to steer clear of the Padres plays today. Tatis plays great at Dodger Stadium. Machado, and Tatis can crush lefties. There's a lot of different plays I like in that game. I'm a homer. I just didn't want that to crowd any judgment whatsoever. So I just stayed out of that game. There are plays on both sides that I do like for the Dodgers and the Padres. I'm very excited with that game. I think the series is going to be great. So thanks, JG, for giving me opportunity to talk about my Padres. I went harder today repping them. Got the shirt, got the hat. We're going all out. And yes, let's end the week with a bang. So after you get to the bullpen, they haven't been very good as well. I like that little 2-man stack with Kody and Luke. Now, I want to go back to Kerry Bonds. Kerry Carpenter over 1.5 total bases. Our LineStar is at 2.1. Consensus at 2.1. Could also play it with fantasy points again. Still at 7.5. 9.6 is our underdog projection. 8.7 is consensus. Prime wants to talk Stowers. I will look at that shortly. And Keem, I'm assuming Cal Riley over 1.5. We can look at that in a second as well. I think both have absolutely warrant. I do very much like Miami bats today. So that's an interesting one to break down in a second here, but let's keep going with Kerry. So every now and then, I throw out a home run call, and the very next day, I think they're in a better spot than they were when I threw it out. That is how it is working for Kerry Carpenter for me. We got all the same stuff. He's just been on absolute fire lately. 500 ISO over the last 20, 558 versus right-handed pitchers. The pitcher hasn't been great, giving up a 281 ISO, 50% hard contact for Carpenter, and he's 1 of 2 with a home run. Super small sample size. Don't think much of it, but I think it's enough to warrant going back to Kerry Carpenter in this spot. There is some weather concerns in Minnesota today, so we do need to watch that. But all in all, I think Carpenter is an absolutely great spot. You can play it with fantasy points or over 1.5 total bases. And last but not least, Taylor Ward over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. The man has been hitting the ball very well. He's hitting 330 over the last week, 271 versus righties over the last 20, with 5 home runs and a 271 ISO, hitting the ball hard, 44% hard contact rate. Poor bullpen behind the starting pitcher. And over the last week, dude has been on absolute fire. Taylor Ward is a super streaky hitter. When he gets it going, he ends up being one of the better hitters in all of baseball. Right now, he's got it going, so I want to go there. I think this game is one that is very interesting to stack for your pick'ems. If you want to throw some, a few Angels or a few A's together, I think it makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to throw Taylor Ward here for this one. Now, so that's our total slip. Let me throw up the graphic here to go over it again. We got Geraldo Perdomo over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Marte over 0.5 RBIs or 10.5 fantasy points. Giancarlo over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Kyle Manzardo over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Keachall and Clemens over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Then Kerry Carpenter over 1.5 total bases and Taylor Ward over 1.5 total bases. That rounds it out. Now, let's check out what you guys are throwing out there and see what we can get to here. So, let's start by the first one was Stowers. And D. Johnson, Noah Cameron, we will look at that as well. Keem, Tank Wiemann, I'll bring it home. I like it. All right, so Stowers. I clicked Underdog just to get some more run total here. 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI, 2.2 point projection, 1.9 consensus. For your pick'em sites, minus 140, that should be popping up. It's not popping up on our platform right now. I would expect it does. Stowers in a solid spot. Look, Giolito is boom bust. I think the way you play Miami, at least on the pick'em sites, is also by stacking them. Take 2 or 3 of these guys and throw them versus Giolito. While Giolito can be good, Giolito can absolutely get blown up. And if you're throwing a parlay together or a pick'em together with multiple of these guys, the best way to take advantage of one of those blow-up games is to stack them. Stowers has been hitting very well lately. He hits righties very well, 283 average over the last 20. High ISO. Giolito gives up hard contact, so I'm definitely interested in that play. Stowers has came down to life a little bit lately. He's not on fire like he was before, but this Miami team is hitting well. I'm fine with that Stowers play. Let's see Cal Riley now. Cal Riley, let's go to 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI versus Sean Manaea. My issue with Cal is he has been super cold lately. Still hits the ball hard, but also you throw in the fact that versus lefties, he has been totally quiet. Over the last 20, no home runs, but he has 6, versus righties. So I don't love that. Now, that could easily bounce back to the mean because as of, the bigger picture, he's been very good versus lefties with a 278 average, 18 of his 52 home runs, 335 WOBA. He doesn't have the same amount of pop, but I am totally fine going to some Cal. I just would warn the aspect that he hasn't been very good. Manaea is a solid pitcher, but he's been hitting the ball hard still, 75% hard contact. So some of this is probably just some bad luck. But all in all, I don't totally love the spot. All right. Now, let's get Tank wants Noah Cameron. Cameron has been extremely efficient and been solid. We're at 17.8 total outs. So we are slightly over. If you're on a sports book, you're getting plus money there. So I do like that. That is very interesting to me. We also have very good hitting weather, and 52% fly balls is what Cameron gives up. So that is not great, but he is a guy that can be efficient and can work deep into games on limited pitches. They will also give him 100+ run. The spot is interesting versus the White Sox. White Sox can get blown up. They haven't been quite as good lately as they were, like a week or two ago. I think it's an interesting spot at plus money. If you're using it in the sports books, I think it's worthy of throwing a little out there. I wouldn't go too hard on the prop. DePrince asking, so is it best to look at over their last 20? I like doing both. If there is a dramatic difference, I generally kind of lean to the shorter time frame. However, you know, the longer sample size is a more true meaning of what they're doing. If you like to play hot and cold streaks, the shorter time frame, is a little more interesting. But I think on days, depending on who, you really do need to look at both to get a total picture of what's going on. JG Tate likes Bryce home run or bases / home run. And then let's look at Matt Olson now as well. And good old Matty O. All right, Matty O over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI minus 120 versus Cantillo. Cantillo has been very, very good. My issue here is lefty on lefty. And it's just not Matt Olson's forte. He is better at righties, and he comes streaky versus lefties, which you can see lately he's been dead versus lefties. Now, he's been good over the longer term with 310. Snoop likes to look at the StatCast data, and I agree. I like StatCast data as well. That's over a similar timeline to that's the last 2 weeks that this data is showing, which this for Matt Olson is very promising. Almost 67% hard contact rate, and he's hitting 310 over the last week. So he very well could be turning that corner coming out of a poor stretch. 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI is low for him. The one thing I have to caution is that Cantillo is actually a pretty solid pitcher and has flied under the radar a little bit. So it's not a spot that I really love to pick on, but you can definitely get there. And Juan Soto hits, runs, and RBIs. I don't mind picking on Castillo when he is away. He's much worse away. So that is very much in your favor. Juan Soto gets on base a ton. So that is in your favor. He swings the bat a lot. He's a very good hitter. Has meh history versus Castillo. 300 ISO is very good, though, and he's been hitting the ball well recently. 300 average lately versus righties. Yeah, I like Juan Soto. I'm absolutely down for that play. Eddie Perez, thank you, LineStar. Thank you. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. It helps our channel a ton. D. Johnson wants to look at Bassett. Look, Bassett is an interesting one. He is another... he's one of those guys kind of like Giolito that's totally boom bust. He has been in poor form lately, but he is 77% better fantasy points at home. Our projections are under on everything for him right now. So I think, a very interesting play for him would be to go under. And if you're on a pick'em site, to stack some bats against him, and then you're going to have to throw in somebody else from a different game. But I think that's a very interesting way to play Bassett. I honestly, my personal belief is better. This matchup is better than our system is showing right now. But when our system is this hard to the under, I can't hit the over. So I would be either staying away or hitting the under in this spot. Now, let's round out this show, do the home run play of the day. And I got to go back to my man, Kerry Carpenter. Like I said when I went over him earlier, frankly, I think he's in a better spot today than he was yesterday. We do have some weather concerns, so I'll have to give up a backup if this one does not play. But I think most likely action is either a delay in play or we just play uninterrupted and this game goes. But we got Kerry Carpenter, a.k.a. Kerry Bonds, at a 28.1% chance for a dinger, and Vegas is at 26.5. When I was doing my research, I looked at props prior to looking at our dinger tool, seeing him at the very high spot and having a positive differential for it. I just had to pick it. I am going to be hammering this one today. I do not respect Ole very much. He's given up a high ISO. Kerry's hit one off him already. Kerry has a 300 ISO versus righties. We're going to stay in the flames with a hot Kerry Carpenter for a home run today. And that is going to do it for us today. Big show. A lot of props that we went over. A lot of props we threw out there. Hope you guys have a great day. Mix and match our plays. Once again, I'm going to just throw them up there here for you guys to take over. We had a solid week. Let's end it with a bang. If all our props hit, somebody's going to win $100. So please like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Now, as I said, the way I would play it is make 4 or 5 mans and mix and match. Throw a couple out there for less money. You guys have a good one. See you later. Peace, Snoop. Peace, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Let's have a day. Talk to you all later. Bye.